Yo, what's up everybody, I'm John.
And I'm Matt.
And on top of our SWC editions, we decided to make a video about the legendary Pokemon that have come out in the past 5 generations. This is kind of a tribute to X and Y, which is just getting released this month, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, let's go start with Gen 1, which had pretty good ones. They had 3 roaming ones, a secret one, and a super powered one, and I think they're probably the most common known ones throughout the series.
Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah, we got Articuno and Zapdos and Moltres. They're the legendary birds. They each represent kind of a season.
Right.
Yeah, Articuno represents winter, Zapdos represents summer, and Moltres represents spring. Whenever they fly through the clouds, they cause something to happen. Articuno will cause like really cold temperatures, snow to fall. Zapdos would cause like thunderstorms, and Moltres would cause the sky to turn red and get really hot.
I think my favorite memory of Pokemon was the episode, the TV episode with Zapdos in it. That's why I think Zapdos is probably my favorite legendary Pokemon. Plus, he looks so cool. He's just
Zap!
He's a badass.
Yeah, and then we have Mewtwo. It was considered the most powerful Pokemon in Gen 1. It was a clone spliced from Mew, and scientists basically made the most powerful Pokemon out there, but it was not the kindest. It didn't have a kind heart, and you could tell with the movie.
The movie was so great. I remember watching that as a kid, especially the part where Ash gets turned to stone, and Pikachu has to like cry, and his tears bring Ash back to life. It was a great movie. I recommend it to anybody who's a fan of the series if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, Mewtwo was like a psychic type. It was considered a pretty tough type back then because it was only weak to ghost and bug types.
Right.
And then we have Mew.
So
Mew is like the cute legendary Pokemon. It contains all genetic codes from every single Pokemon that existed back then. Plus, it was special in that like it was probably the oldest DLC in video games because you couldn't obtain it without a special event unless you like hacked the game or had a glitch, or it was like a Pokemon you could only obtain through special events, which was quite different back then.
it made my life hell when I was playing Pokemon Snap. Trying to get a good picture of Mew was so tough playing Pokemon Snap on the 64.
Oh yeah, and Mew was also a psychic type, and that's kind of something that kind of progressed with legendaries from then, was that they become psychic types most of the time. And then we move on to Gen 2, which had 3 new roaming type Pokemon, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. Each of them, they prowl around and their roars emit something. Like Raikou causes thunder, shoots lightning bolts, Entei causes volcanoes to erupt, and Suicune uses wind a lot for some reason, even though it's a water type.
Right. Really resembles the Eevee evolutions.
Maybe a little bit. But yeah, back then.
Back from Generation 1.
Yeah. Except these were like, you had to catch them instead
Right.
of training Eevee by choosing a stone.
Right. Plus these guys are they're like Eevee evolutions, but on steroids.
Yeah, I call them prowlers because that's kind of what they look like. And then we get to the 2 mascots of the series, Lugia and Ho-oh. Lugia, psychic flying type. Pokédex tree says it lives in the water because it's so powerful. It's kind of strange because it's a psychic flying type and not a water flying type, which kind of might throw some people off. But then again, if you think of Gyarados, not many people like water flying types because they're a weakness to electricity, I guess. Yeah, Lugia was in Pokemon 2000 and
Another great movie. Entei was also in one of those movies. He was in the movie where Charizard left Ash. That was so sad.
And then we get to Ho-oh. He was actually the first Pokemon ever shown in the anime. And it's a rainbow Pokemon, even though it's a fire flying type. And it looks like a fire flying type, but it's supposed to be like a rainbow Pokemon, flashes in different colors. And it's supposed to be more like a good destiny Pokemon. If you find one, you're guaranteed to have like happiness or something.
It's like the fortune cookie equivalent of a Pokemon.
Yeah. I gotta mention this too. Lugia and Ho-oh have their own special attacks. Lugia has a flying attack called Aeroblast, which is likely to be a critical hit. Ho-oh has Sacred Fire, which has a 50% chance of burning your target, unlike other fire attacks which usually have 10%. Ho-oh also carries a Sacred Ash item, which heals your Pokemon to full health every time. And then we have the other secret legendary, which is now Celebi, who's a Psychic and Grass type, making it weak to a lot of things, but it can actually time travel and bring plants to full health and flourish. It's another type of Pokemon that you get through special events. And it was the star in the 4th movie? Yeah, Pokemon Forever, where Suicune also got a star role in that.
Right. Celery, more like celery.
Yeah, there's Celebi.net, which is named after Celebi's Japanese name.
Oh.
And then we get to Gen 3, which ranked up the Pokemon count a bit. Now we have the Regi Trio, which I think these were more stationary than roaming. They came in basically the 3 most underappreciated types. In my opinion, anyways. There's Regi Rock, Regi Ice, and Regi Steel. Before then, most of the Pokemon under Rock, Ice, and Steel were all dual type. So it was kind of refreshing to see like 3 different types, all of them mono typed. So you have Mono Rock, Mono Ice, Mono Steel. And they're all weak to fighting types, which I like.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, fighting's my favorite type, but yeah, these guys were kind of cool. They're all kind of made with the same kind of structure.
They were tough to find in the game in Pokemon Ruby for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
They're really tough to find. You have to go through a lot to get them.
And then we have Latios and Latias. Those 2 are more of the roaming Pokemon, and they're starring in Pokemon Heroes, and they're a Dragon Psychic type. So most of the Dragon types before them were Dragon Flying types, which means they get killed by an Ice attack. But now these are Dragon Psychic types, so that's not the case anymore. But they also have Levitate, so they're still immune to ground moves. And they got I think their signature move is Luster Purge. Yeah, it's also a Psychic move. Only one of them actually roams. For Latios, you need an Eon ticket, an e-reader, and then you have a link with 2 Game Boy Advances.
Then you got the 3.
The 3 mascots.
Right.
We'll start off with the first 2, Kyogre and Groudon. Kyogre is this like big kind of dolphin thing. It's a sea bassin Pokemon. It basically has the ability to expand the oceans and cause torrents of rain coming down.
He was Pokemon Sapphire, the
Yeah.
big boss in that game.
His ability Drizzle actually makes it so when it enters the battle it rains. Then we have Groudon, who's the exact opposite. And Groudon, he actually expands continents, and his ability is Drought, so instead of causing it to rain, he causes it to get really sunny. Which you would expect from a fire type. And he's also red, so you'd think he's a fire type, but he's actually a ground type. Which is actually pretty unique. It does make him weak to Kyogre, though, in a way. Yeah, Groudon is actually the heaviest Pokemon, 2,096 pounds. Not because it's fat like Snorlax, because it's a freaking continent Pokemon.
Exactly.
It's landmass.
It was very cool. The Sapphire and Ruby games, the main theme in that game was balance. And so Kyogre and Groudon balanced each other. And if you took one out, the land would overshadow the oceans. Or the opposite effect, the oceans would overshadow the land. And that's what I really liked about those 2 books.
And apparently these 2 had like a blood feud with each other. Like
Absolutely.
a cataclysmic battle. The 3rd mascot comes into play.
Rayquaza.
Yeah, Rayquaza. If they ever came to battle each other, Rayquaza would come down from the atmosphere and stop the fight. Rayquaza, he's never seen because he flies all the way up in the air and feeds on particles up in the atmosphere.
Yes.
He's actually a boss in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, too.
Didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool fight. You play as a fox.
That is
And
very cool.
yeah, he's also a dragon flying type, so he's weak to ice attacks, so maybe, yeah, but Rayquaza was cool. It looks like a serpent.
Right.
Then you got Jirachi. This is the special downloadable Pokemon, I guess a wish Pokemon, who only wakes up every 1,000 years. Basically, anything written on the notes on his head would come true every time he woke up. He only was awake for like a week or something. Yeah, it's kind of a mysterious Pokemon. What I find weird is he's a steel Pokemon. besides being just a Psychic type, he's a Steel Pokemon.
Right, kind of weird.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a Steel type. I mean, and that kind of became a theme with future Pokemon. Steel types looked a bit weird because they didn't look entirely made of steel, I guess.
One of the, a cool thing about the Pokemon, it was one of the only Pokemon that has kind of a spirituality kind of aspect to him. You can kind of see the Japanese culture coming through, especially with the notes written on the forehead.
Oh yeah,
Very interesting.
And then we get to the next superpowered Pokemon, Deoxys. Deoxys, in his Pokedex, says it's a space virus mutated by a laser beam, which is kind of scary in that. Yeah, it's basically the only Pokemon that kind of made Mewtwo look a bit inferior after that.
It also kind of makes you question the origin of Pokemon and what constitutes a Pokemon. Because this thing, a space virus, mutated from a laser beam. Wow, if that constitutes a Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a Psychic type too, which it gets a bit old and typical now. But what's cool about Deoxys is that he has 3 forms. No, it's 4 forms. He has his regular form. He basically specials in attack, special attack, and speed. His attack form, where he sacrifices all his defenses to raise his attack power. Defense, where he goes all wild on the fence while sacrificing everything else. And then the speed form, which everything else is kind of mild, but his speed is what really counts. And that's kind of what made him special. He introduced, now we have different forms of Pokemon. They can be different types and different stat attributes and all that, which, I mean, that's pretty cool.
And the terrifying thing about the Pokemon was that if you tried to fight him, he could go into his attack form and fight you, and by the time you return your move, he's already back in defense form. You could change forms very quickly.
Oh yeah, that'd be...